Всім добрий вечір.
On behalf of the brave.
On behalf of every father and every mother.
Wings for freedom. On behalf of our warriors.
And paves the way for a new history.
Hello and welcome to Tochnyi, where we do a kind of a emergency stream because of the events of today. Kind of the series of the Tochnyi Talks, not our regular Sunday stream. And of course, I guess most of you have seen the news of today and understand why we do this stream. We also have Sören Herbst with us live from Kyiv, Jay, and we'll be joined shortly by Bionade. Welcome, Sören.
Hi, guys.
So just to recap some of the things that happened today, there were massive air raids on Ukraine the last 24 hours. Some were intercepted last night and during the night, but unfortunately this morning in Kyiv and Dnipro and also in Kryvyi Rih and other cities, missiles came through the air defense systems. We don't know why, no one really knows, and it doesn't really matter. The important fact is that Russian military fired missiles on Ukrainian cities and killed and injured a lot of civilians. More than 36, at least 36 confirmed killed civilians and more than 140 injured, according to Ukrainian state emergency services. And I can't even remember when such a devastating attack happened in Ukraine the last time. Sören, you are in Kyiv, and I just want to ask you: are you safe, and are everyone that you know and your contacts in Kyiv safe?
I hope that I'm safe, and I hope that all my contacts are safe. But who's safe in these days? I mean, today's genocidal, horrific attacks have shown us again that everywhere in Ukraine you can and you are a target for the Russians. And every Russian is guilty for that. Russia's facing a genocidal war on Ukraine, and today's attacks have shown in a horrible way that it's not a coincidence that hospitals have been hit, right? This is a genocidal war against the civilian population, against everything and everyone Ukrainian, against the Ukrainian future, against children, against the weakest ones, and for sure and 100% against the civilian population. It's a terror attack, a terror campaign, a terroristic war, a horrible attack against a European city, the center of a European capital, in the heart of Europe, I would call it like that. And everyone can be a target and is a target for the Russians at any time. So the term safe in Ukraine at the moment is a very volatile term. And I think in Kyiv at the moment, no one feels really safe. People are just dealing with it in a very tough and remarkable way. Ukrainians, I mean now, because they have to undergo this unsafeness every day, because this can happen every day. And you have to imagine such a day as a day where you get here in Kyiv approximately 25 to 30 minutes of really pre-warning time, maybe a little bit more sometimes. And in this time, you have the possibility, if you are informed and have the sources to inform yourself, to get, while the time is going on, a better assessment, let's say, of the situation. And if this is a very concrete and lethal threat, or maybe not. And Ukrainians are really good in doing this. So via the usual Telegram channels and other sources of information, they do this quite quickly. I myself, I'm not so good in it. So I have people who inform me then about this. And also my company takes care of this, of course. But yeah, and then you have some signs. And today in the morning, the signs were pointing very quickly in the direction of a very serious attack, a very serious threat for several cities. You just named them in Ukraine, and also here of the capital city.
Yeah, I
yeah.
just want to ask you, because I was also recently in Ukraine, and Philip Bionade has been there many times, and you know, I've seen the air raid app before, but it was a strange experience to actually use it, and we had constant air raid alarms on the app while we were in Ukraine.
Yeah.
But we were lucky that the air defense managed to intercept all of the missiles that were heading in our direction. So we kind of understood, looking at the map, and yeah, you get an air raid alert in your area, but you see also where they are launched from. That means you can have 20, 30 minutes, depending on where you are, warning, and then you see the air raid alert stop in your area. Are you used to using this yet, or?
Yeah. I'm used. Of course, I'm used to use the basics of preparedness, and you need this Trevoha app and some other tools. Of course, that's the basics. But what I meant is reading all the additional information in social media, especially on Telegram. That's not so much my thing. So I'm glad that I have Ukrainian contacts who do this together with me and for me. But Trevoha, of course, I can read this app. This app has also been recently updated, so the information that it provides now is a little bit more detailed than it was still, let's say, half a year ago or so. And then there are other indicators. For instance, one indicator is when, of course, you're being called at the hotels to take shelter if there's an air raid. But when the staff of the hotel is also called to take shelter, this is an indicator that things are getting serious, because this is not usually done. Because you just mentioned it also, and that's it can be the case from week to week. It's very different, that there will be per day. Maybe there's no alert. Yeah, can happen some days. For instance, last weekend, the last weekend, some hours ago, it was a very nice, beautiful weekend, a calm weekend with almost, I think, no alert, none that I recall. But there can be days with 6, 7, even more alerts, depending on the area. Can be very short, can be longer. And if you would take shelter all the time, most of all for Ukrainians, that causes immense stress, and sometimes it's also not necessary. So that's why they are forced, Ukrainians, to find ways to better assess the situation, and then take to act according to the situation, right? And today they did. It was clear, and the metro stations were filled again. This doesn't take place occasionally. This doesn't take place usually. So just occasionally in severe, serious situations. And today, such a situation arose. People went to metro stations, went to the shelters. Some didn't. We had also a hit in Kyiv on a residential building with, as far as I'm informed, 17 flats being destroyed, and they hear voices under the debris. So measures are still ongoing there, and so some people don't. Some Ukrainians never go to the shelter because they have just decided for themselves Russia not to control their daily life. And you can call this maybe, yeah, not really responsible, but that's a decision I respect also, because this war is going on for such a long time with such an immense load of stress and trauma for everyone in this country.
And I think we lost Sören. Bionade, you mentioned some facts.
Oh yeah, I remember the last attack in this size was on the 29th December 2023, and on the 2nd January. I remember this was where they hit like this civilian building, I think on the 2nd January, and also this big company which is next to the hotel I usually stay, and they seem to target this area on a regular base, and this area was hit again today. Talked to a friend who works there around the corner. Basically, the missile flew directly over their place, and then a couple 100 meter later, basically hits this area. So it's everyone is shocked. Because if I remember, recount correctly, these attacks in December and January, they involved like almost double the amount of missiles, and it were just like 2 or 3 who came through. But it was quite unexpected. That's almost 25% of the missiles basically going through and hitting Kyiv, in the center of Kyiv, right? It's I mean,
Yeah.
I think we all saw the horrible pictures from the hospital, and how basically these poor children, I assume cancer patients, sitting out there, getting their infusions, possibly their chemotherapy. It's on the street. It's horrible to see, and who could you target who's more innocent, right? Like a children's hospital. It's completely, I'm in disbelief.
I also want to mention that Dnipro was severely hit today. You see some of the results here. That hasn't been covered so much in Western media, but I think in Kyiv there were 22 people at least. No, and I think it was 11 people. Yeah, 11 people have been killed in Dnipro, and 62 injured. So the attack has also had very, very devastating consequences on Dnipro today.
Yeah, they targeted in Dnipro another child's clinic or medical clinic, right?
Not sure about the medical clinic there, but there's at least one more clinic in Kyiv that has been damaged, and I think one in Kryvyi Rih. So it doesn't look like it's a coincidence that so many hospitals are being hit in one day. It could be, of course, but we don't have any conclusive evidence of the other ones. Most of the focus has been on Kyiv. Did you hear back from Sören?
No. My message isn't going through. So either they have electricity cut out, or his battery died. But I think the network may be broken down. I will just check with some other friends from Kyiv. Yup, last time online 4 minutes. I think Kyiv has maybe some electricity problems right now, or maybe the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the first time it happens during a stream, and it's another sign of Russian terrorism disrupting normal lives every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to first talk to Sören and then go through some of the tweets that have been kind of important for the picture on Twitter, at least, of what happened today. Fabian did some really good analysis. I actually have this video loaded up as well, and I will show it. But there's been some Russian disinformation about this, and some of it has been absolutely ridiculous. Comparing the Russian cruise missile to what they call NASAMS missile, which I guess they are. They mean the AMRAAM missile, but Fabian did a very good job dismissing this disinformation, and I think it's pretty clear from also the sound on the video that this is not an AMRAAM missile from a NASAMS battery. And I'll try and play the video with sound so you can hear. Yeah, especially just before. Yeah, you can hear it just there. The whistling sound. That is very, very easy to identify as a turbofan, and I mean, these accounts on Twitter are just spewing out bullshit.
Yeah, sounds familiar. The sound I heard it before, and it's.
Yep, yeah. And Fabian noted this, and also did some analysis on the missile itself. And I think there's been quite a lot of good people dismissing Russian disinformation, but then there's also been quite a lot of really bad noise in the Twitter sphere. So, can you describe this area, Philip? Because you've been there.
So, as far as I understood it, and as far as I could put the pictures in a place, they basically hit the center of Kyiv, right, where the government district is, where all the embassies are in the area, just a couple hundred meters basically away from the Zoloty Vorota, and it's basically the heart of the city where they hit. Not in an area, would I say, where like many historical buildings are, but more like where a business district is, where this hospital is, and this green tower we see before is a quite remarkable building. They hit obviously again rush hour, middle of the day, which is unusual. Usually they do these raids in the night. I think everyone who was in Ukraine or in Kyiv had this experience. But yeah, it's the other building they hit, which is close to the hotel where I usually stay in. It's basically one a little bit longer metro station away from the heart of the inner city. It's around 2.5 kilometers away. Yeah, but as you can see, this is basically the heart of Kyiv, right? That's
Yeah, I remember driving and walking past this building a couple of weeks ago.
yeah. I think there's also a kind of something official in this building, ministry or something like this. This building with the green glasses. I'm not sure. Sören told me about it earlier.
It's definitely a ministry, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure which. And yeah, you can see the hospital is just behind this building here, marked in the blue square. So
I think it's oh god, I think the former office of former Minister Kubrakov is there. I think he wrote something that the former staff of him made basically saw this missile hitting the hospital, and yeah, it was directly next to them, like you can see on the video, and yeah.
And GeoConfirmed has identified some of the buildings that have been destroyed and partially destroyed. For instance, yeah, one of them is the toxicology building of the Okhmatdyt National Specialized Children Hospital. And I talked to our friend Vasil this morning. He said this is the best and most important pediatric hospital in Ukraine. So I think this has also made an impact on people who live other places in Ukraine, that this particular hospital was hit. That's at least my impression.
Yeah. Like you said, I'm not thinking about coincidences when there are like multiple clinics are hit in such a strike. Yeah.
As Sören said, I think the message should be that Russians are trying to make all of Ukraine feel unsafe.
Yeah.
And they demonstrated this, and there is no excuse for hitting hospitals or civilian apartment buildings. It's the worst crime you can do.
Yeah, and I think I talked to Sören earlier. He mentioned that yeah, it's directly before the NATO summit, the upcoming NATO summit, right? It's I think Orban and I think India is visiting Moscow right now, right? So it's possibly a show of force, and Putin showing it's in Russia that they don't care what we are doing and how much we condemn this. The only thing they care about is action. They care deeply about if we deliver more weapon to Ukraine, right? Because they always get a heart infection and start their temper tantrums then. So this is what we should do. Right direction is or the right action is not to condemn it again, because yeah, nobody in Russia cares about this. But help Ukraine, deliver more weapons, and give them the possibility to strike deep into Russia, to destroy these air bases, to destroy all these platforms which are used to launch these terror attacks on Ukraine. Not the first time we say this. We are talking about this for years now, we can basically say. But yeah.
Yeah, I found the original tweet I was looking for earlier.
Oh God, more people.
And you know, this is a typical Russian disinformation account spewing out garbage all the time. They're trying to make like, this doesn't look like the KH-101. Well, and it even says it's fake. And drawing some lines on paint, using some non-verified, supposedly image analytics tool, which doesn't look very professional.
I mean, we can't even see what websites this is or what link it is, right? Like it's
yeah.
yeah.
And then like putting a NASAMS launcher upside down to prove that it's an AMRAAM missile, and then making sure that you have the worst resolution of the image.
Yeah.
It's a typical disinformation. But Fabian really hammered this guy down, and then he had
Also, the other one.
the other one I don't want to mention by name. But yeah, in this video that is quite high resolution, you can clearly see that it's, even if I stop it here, it's not going to be the best, but you could see that it's definitely a different shape and a very large missile. And you can even see here what Fabian pointed out, that you can see the turbofan. So yeah, I mean, ridiculous propaganda attempts, but I'm sure some people are fooled.
So, that's the people who want to be fooled.
But you mentioned something that I totally agree about. We've heard all these pledges about Patriots coming into Ukraine, and then we have had German Aid for Ukraine highlighting how long time it takes to transfer them because the personnel needs to be trained. And you mentioned that there's another way to stop this, right? And hopefully these kind of attacks will backfire at the Russians, because I think that proactively letting Ukraine and enabling Ukraine to hit at least some of the launch sites and airports, they might not be able to stop all the attacks, but it will hinder the Russians' ability to launch missiles, and that will help the Ukrainian air defense even more.
Yeah, I also have to say from my personal side, because I was just tracking it, from our Chancellor Olaf Scholz is not much of a statement on this yet. So I hope either tomorrow there will be like some clear statement, some clear announcement, some plan of action or something, or it's absolutely tone deaf. The only statement he made is he shared the tweet of our Minister of Health, basically, who told the Ukrainian Minister of Health, Viktor Lyashko, that we offer to take the children in, and the first emergency flight to bring children to German hospitals will start the day after tomorrow on Wednesday. Basically, Olaf Scholz retweeted this with Germany is on the side of Ukraine in these hard times, but this is the only statement. So I'm expecting more, to be honest, and I hope there's coming more. If not, I think it's time to seriously kick our governments in the nuts, or wherever it hurts, right? So that they understand it's not only Patriots we need to deliver. I mean, German Aid to Ukraine just announced it yesterday that last week, I think 6 or how many launchers, Patriot launchers, were like delivered and are now in Ukraine and are already in service or getting into service. And still this can happen, right? No system is perfect. No system is fault-proof. And it happened. So sure, air defense is a good concept, but like you said, and like I mentioned, and like we discussed very, very often here, Ukraine needs the capability to destroy the source of all of this.
Yep. I think German Aid to Ukraine mentioned that the system is already transferred, but not necessarily yet operational.
Yeah.
And then there are 3 more incoming, I believe. One from Romania, one from the US, and a third or fourth one from Germany, right?
I mean, the third one was
just delivered.
just delivered, and maybe there is like this rumor, but I don't know if they had an update today.
Okay.
I would check it out on our friend's site.
But yes, as you mentioned, this won't guarantee safety for Ukrainians, and I truly believe that the only way to guarantee safety is to hit the launching facilities.
Yeah.
I was hoping that Sören would come back before.
Yeah, I'm not coming through to him. So cell service seems to be down. Not even his hotel connection. So yeah. Seems like
Well,
it's Ukraine. How it is right now. This is the situation people in Kyiv have to live with. There's shortages of electricity, shortages for the infrastructure, for the cell towers, and yeah, it's quite annoying. So
I must say that when I was in Ukraine, I didn't have any connection issues ever. But I would guess I was lucky.
yeah. I mean, you have days where it's all clear, and it's not that usual that the emergency. He's back. Oh, great.
Did the Russians kill your cell phone connection, Sören?
Huh?
Can you hear us?
Hi, guys. Sorry. Very sorry.
Now.
No, it's not your fault.
I never experienced this before. I had no electricity and no network at the same time. And
Wow.
sorry for that.
No,
it's
it's not
new for me as well.
Wow.
I don't know why.
Well, we were just we were filling the time with going through some of the information that some of our friends from the social media and open source analysis has provided, debunking some Russian misinformation about missile strikes. I don't remember exactly what you were saying when you
Me neither.
lost connection. but I think you talked about how Ukrainians maybe don't go so
how
much
they
to
deal with the situation.
shelters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And shelter going and so on. Yes. And
but this time everyone went. Yes.
Yeah. No, not everyone went, unfortunately, but many went.
Many,
but not
I mean,
everyone went. And I went as well, and colleagues went as well, and so on. So basically, I experienced it in the morning. Of course, I was sitting in the hotel at the breakfast, and then the messages went in, and the alert went in, and then I got the clearer assessment. We were talking about this before, and when I got the clearer assessment, I took my coffee and went down to the shelter and continued working from there, hoping that this might be just another serious alert and that Western PPO air defense systems would do their job as reliable as I have to say, and use the term used to be in Kyiv, because Kyiv is regarded the most protected and best protected city in Ukraine, and usually a huge amount of incoming Russian ballistic and cruise missiles and drones are being intercepted successfully. Today, this was also the case, but not enough, not to the enough extent to save the many lives that have been lost today, unfortunately. And in your introduction, you already stressed this topic. We don't know why yet this happened. I have my theories, but this is a question maybe for the coming days, but definitely a question to be and the problem to be solved by us, to be solved by the West, to supply Ukraine with everything they need, and of course also the resupply of the rockets needed for the respective systems. But maybe also other problems played into this, and maybe several problems came together at the wrong time, so that the Russians could exploit this. We don't know yet. Definitely, it's one of the hardest, if not the hardest, attack measured by the results on Kyiv. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there have been attacks with more missiles on Kyiv in the past. A handful, maybe less than a handful, but correct me if I'm wrong. But from the result, I think it is the hardest one. And that's why I think it's also a landmark and a very sad one. Tomorrow has been declared day of mourning by the city administration of Kyiv. The mayor has declared this today and announced this today. So tomorrow, all flags in Kyiv will be set on half-mast. The mood in the city is bad. The mood in the city is that people are concerned, of course, and sad, but even more than sad, angry. You should not attack children hospitals. You should not attack maternity clinics. You should not attack residential buildings. This, and the history shows this, never was successful. This always increases the resilience and the will of the population and the army and the whole country, and I hope so also of the allies of Ukraine, to not only defend this but also bring this to an end. And this can and only will be a bitter end for Russia. And today, and this is not a new experience, but today I think we should repeat again that people in a clinic, children in a child hospital where they are treated with chemotherapy, where there was an 8-year-old child already narcotized, already under narcotics on the operation table, and they were about with nurses and doctors to start this operation on the heart of this child, and then the attack came, and they, like a wonder, survived in this room, but they had to of course stop this operation, and I think people like this are not, and that's very clear, they are not legitimate targets in a war, and no target in this war is a legitimate target, even the military ones, because the war itself is a genocidal violation of international law. But they are not legitimate military targets, but Putin for sure is.
Yes. And you talked about the patients receiving chemotherapy, and then you see this image has gone around today, and it's absolutely horrible.
Yes, and there's a big wave of solidarity in the city. So this was obvious today. So there was immediately, while the air alert still was ongoing, and while the immediate threat was ongoing, and this is important because Russia is using the tactics of double strike. So they strike when the rescuers are at the site. And ignoring this threat, hundreds of Kyivans went to the site of this hospital. I mean, there have been more sites, but the hospital, of course, was the hotspot, and helped and supported the state services that helped there, and the army and the police and the rescuers and everyone. This was an enormous wave of support and solidarity. So many people that after some hours they even closed the site and didn't let in any civilians anymore to support. I have seen also veterans there helping. Maybe you have seen the pictures on Twitter. There were some videos shared of one guy with one leg only, with one normal.
Yeah, there was one a veteran with a
Yes, I know him.
prosthetic.
Yes, I saw him many times in one specific place in Kyiv where veterans meet. I know this guy, and he was there, and he helped taking the debris away and looking for people. And I also know two people who live in the same street of this hospital, and in the same street, 100 meters, exactly 100 meters away. And they took their mattress that they usually use to sleep in the parking lot under the house where they live, in the garage. When there's an air raid, they took this mattress and brought it to this place where when they saw the pictures of the chemotherapy people who were sitting just on the soil there next to the hospital, just to give them a little bit of relief, a little bit. They couldn't do more at the moment, but they did this, and that's all what they could do. Do you still hear me? Because I
Yes, we
now
can still
hear a
hear you.
strange noise in my headphone. Okay, and the attack was. You have to know that this attack was not an attack somewhere in a suburb or somewhere on the other side of the river. It was attack in the living heart of Kyiv, of the capital city. It was an attack in the center. This place, this hospital, is only some 100 meters away from the main train station, for instance, Kyiv Pasažiersky. It's only few hundred meters away of the place where I am now, in the city, in the very city of the very center of Kyiv. After the first messages came in the morning that the threat might be over. This was before the official lifting of the air alert, but when the first messages came in that there might be no more continuing threat, I went upstairs and went on the street out of the hotel and looked into the sky, and I saw the smoke coming up and covering the sky. And this showed me, and this has never happened before. I never see this before, because it's the very center of Kyiv. They are very high. They are very narrow streets. They are very high, or not very high old buildings, but 5-6 story high buildings, and when you stay in the street, when you are standing in the street and you look above, you don't see things very far away. Yeah, because the buildings in front of you are close and high. But I saw all this smoke coming up, so I noticed this is very, very close, some hundreds meters only away. And also today I received pictures from the Ministry of Infrastructure, which is a landscape or landmark building in Kyiv, because it has a very special shape and it has windows in green color, so it's very remarkable building and everyone knows
I think
it.
it's on the video right now.
Yeah,
Right?
in the video. Yeah. I
It's
don't
the
see the
building.
picture right now, but exactly. So even the windows of this very center building have been destroyed. not all of them, some of them. This is close to the Vokzal, to the train station. You know it, Bionade. And yeah, so that's a very heart of Kiev attack.
Yeah,
And it hit the heart of the people in Kiev as well. And you could feel this today in the streets. And in the evening, I had my usual walk around and running around. And yeah, you could feel the special situation.
this seriousness in the atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah, there's a serious in the atmosphere, but it's always in Kiev, you know, a little bit. It's not that everyone is breaking down and being sad and only, you know, Kiev is a very vibrant city and people love to go out. And people also, as I said before, the electricity breakdown, people also don't want to give in, you know, they don't give in. And they also don't want to let their life being controlled by the fucking aggressor even more than it is the reality every day. So they even show a little bit more of uh, going out and living their life, you know, and wearing the most fashionable sunglasses and everything, than they would maybe done before. And I love this. And this was even visible today, but in a special way, commemorating the victims of today's attack, and yeah, taking into account this special situation. And you could feel it today. There's no party, there's no music, there's no nothing like this. Yes, and there's not so many people on the streets, but they will not give in, never, not
Yeah.
even on such a day.
Thank you for describing this.
Yeah, that's what you see here in the center of Kyiv.
So, the NATO top meeting is closing in just a couple of days. What do you wish will come out of there, and what do you wish that the politicians from the respective countries talk about behind the closed doors?
I already said that I think that Putin is a legitimate target, but this is not something they will probably openly discuss. I know that, but I just want to mention it again. I think that we need to go all in, right? We need to go all in. I said this before. It's today's results are also partly our fault and our responsibility, because we didn't give Ukraine everything they need to defend themselves. Not only defend themselves, not only save cancer treated children from being killed. Not even this we did. And this is not giving the front lines and the soldiers on the front lines everything they need to defend the enemy. And this is not even giving Ukraine the possibility to stop Russian airplanes, Russian airplanes and other platforms where they launch the missiles, where they launch the KH-101s, where they launch the Kinzhals, to start. We don't even give Ukraine this. And that's fucking wrong, of course. Yes, we should have done this long before. Scholz should have long before stopped scholzing around and give Taurus to Ukraine, but also many other countries should have given Ukraine everything we can, and we can, and I mean we can. Yeah, it's not that we cannot, we can do it. We could destroy the Russian military in a short period of time, we could give Ukraine the means to do it, but we do not. And I hope that, no, I don't hope that, because today's events should never been happened. But yeah, still I hope that some people will wake up, and even at this NATO summit. I mean, the problem is, if you have those summits, the declarations of the summits to be signed are prepared long before, they are prepared weeks and months before in government negotiations on ministry level. And then at the end, only at the summit itself, it's been not even really negotiated, but acknowledged at the top level of the governments. And that's why during the meeting itself, during the summit itself, only few changes are to be expected and possible, And that's why I fear that today's events will not even be visible in the end declaration of the summit, And that's a problem.
I truly hope that something will change. That some countries might have certain demands, and there will be a different
hope so.
outcome. And I think there is no like single response to this sort of thing. It's difficult for Ukraine to get one special item or special help that can
No.
solve anything. But it's the message, right? It's also
the message. It's
yeah.
the message that we have again. That we are again facing a new level of escalation. We are always talking about escalation levels. Yes, but Russia is escalation since day one. And they today has shown us again, I mean, what worst and devilish can happen than targeting a European capital city, targeting maternity and children hospitals where children are treated chemotherapy. What worst can happen? My mind cannot even imagine something worse to happen. So that's escalation 180, 90, 200%. I mean, nothing else can happen. So why do we not go in and all in? And that means for such a summit, I think the message should be a more general one, not talking about one specific weapon systems or so, but delivering a whole message. And of course, this needs to be coordinated within the national governments, with EU, with NATO, as one holistic approach, one holistic message. We will not let you win. We will let Ukraine win, and we stand behind Ukraine winning this war quickly. No bullshit negotiation talks, no bullshit peace talks against the will of Ukrainian people. But everything we can do, and now I'm excluding sending troops to Ukraine, NATO troops to Ukraine fighting, and I would be personally even in favor of this, but I know this will not happen. But everything else we will do. And this means full support at first, fully closing the sky in Ukraine by air defense systems. Everything we can give from NATO states, we should give and we can give, because at the moment we don't need it. We will maybe need it in the future if we don't give it to Ukraine now, but that's why we should give it to Ukraine now and produce and reproduce and increasing production lines in Europe, in Western Europe, Central Europe, to do it. Giving Ukrainians all the other lethal weapon systems that we can give, all the tanks, all the infantry fighting vehicles, all the other weapons, all the systems, electronic warfare, and what we can give to do it, giving Ukraine all the financial resources, giving Ukraine all the possibilities to build up production lines with European insurance in Ukraine themselves to produce what they need. They are very clever. They are not stupid. They are digitally and on the electronic field more equipped and better educated than many Western and Central European countries. Giving them the insurance that we will ever defend them, and so on and so on and so on. Giving them Taurus fucking shit, stopping this Scholzing around, giving them all the other long-range weapons that we have, giving them Tomahawks. They need Tomahawks. They need a cruise missile strike capability to fight Russian air bases and other command centers and so on in Russia. Giving them the permission to do that, to strike command centers, airfields, other important places in Russia still, to stop this, because these attacks like today, they have been planned. This is not something you plan in a couple of hours. This is something, such a complex attack like today, you plan. This takes weeks, yeah, and we need to strike. Ukraine needs to strike the centers where this planning is taking place. Stop it.
I couldn't agree more. And all of the targets you listed are totally legitimate targets for Ukraine to hit. There are many more. And I'm confident that Ukraine will employ whatever capabilities that they get in the most humane and just way. And that is what the European leaders should also have confidence in. I do believe they have, but I think there is something else that is hindering them that doesn't have anything to do with the doubt that Ukraine will act according to the rules of law that we have agreed upon as nations who agree on a world order based on law.
I have a point I wanted to highlight here, Sören. You mentioned it. Important are also stop shorting around and policy changes, because if we remember, like, we just had this conversation a couple of weeks ago where Russia was basically flying up with their airplanes to the Ukrainian border, dropping bombs on Kyiv, and Ukraine couldn't shoot down these airplanes because they were like not in Ukrainian airspace and not still on the Russian side. And I mean, these were reachable, but they weren't allowed to shoot them down with Western systems. And I mean, Russia is escalating to the worst levels, right? Like you said, I can't imagine something more evil like striking children's hospitals, right? Like that's the same like bombing an orphanage or a zoo park or something, right? Like it doesn't make any military sense. It's just pure terror. And we are discussing if it's an escalation when Ukraine shoots airplanes in Russia out of the sky, which are delivering bombs and shooting at Ukraine. I don't want these discussions anymore in the future. Our politicians must understand Russia is using every possibility they have to terrorize Ukraine, and we want Ukraine to fight with both hands behind their back. That's just very, very stupid and very, very inconsequent. And until we either get rid of Olaf Scholz or he finally wakes up, well, we seem to have a big problem when we still discuss if Ukraine can shoot down airplanes which are like about to release bombs in Russian airspace, right? Like it's all more than legitimate targets, and it's a really big problem. We need to understand these people who make these policies that this is bullshit and that they can't continue like this. And it's not only Germany; it's the US who has this kind of policies. It's other countries who have these kind of policies, and only the British seem to go forward and say, strike wherever you want, take our weapons and let's go, right?
Yeah, and even soft skills. I mean, besides being behind everything you just said, Bionade, and if there's a question, I don't know, but I'm behind everything you just said, and we have even soft skills. Why the fucking hell are Russians traveling the world? Why do we not ban all Russians from entering EU? Why can't they enjoy life in Europe, which they hate so much, the Western lifestyle and the decadence, yeah, in their propaganda, yeah? Why do we let this happen? This should not be the case. They should be the strategy for Russia, our strategy for Russia. We should, I mean, at first we should focus on Ukraine and let them win the war and give them everything. Only in a very second part we should even think about Russia, because I don't care what happens with Russia, but we have to deal with them now, and therefore the strategy must be, there must be containment and deterrence, right? And part of containment is letting fucking Russians not traveling the world, because all of them are guilty. Every Russian who is not actively fighting the regime, is guilty. Everyone. Everyone who's silent is guilty. Those few who are fighting or who did fight the regime, they are dead or they are in the gulag. Few of them. Only
Or
few
the-
of them.
Or they had
The rest is guilty.
or they had to
Even
flee.
those who our politicians mark as so-called oppositions. There is no Russian opposition.
At least it's dead.
They are dead or imprisoned. The rest is guilty. Where are the demonstrations on the Russian streets? I know it's difficult, it's dangerous. Yes, it's dictatorship, it's totalitarianism, it's Hitler of the 21st century. Yes. But there have been freedom fighters. There have been people in the Hitler times who fought the system. There have been assassination attempts. There have been Anne Franks. There have been Weiße Rose. There have been people, few of them, very few. We did not stop. I am German. We did not stop Hitler. My grandfathers and parents did not stop. My grandnephew was Kapitänleutnant of a German U-boat, sunk in the Vizcaya after American airplane attack. He's still on the ground of the sea. We did not stop him. Hitler killed himself when the Allies have been 500 meters from the Reichskanzlei in Berlin. 500 meters. Then he decided to kill himself, not before. Putin will go on. Putin must be stopped by brutal force. He will not be stopped by his entourage. He will not be stopped by his people. They will continue this. This is a Russian genocidal project. We need to stop it. Otherwise, we will be the next targets. Otherwise, the costs for us will increase so dramatically that we cannot even imagine now. And all the right wing and left wing and other extremists who already blame our center parties now and our center governments now for the support of Ukraine, you cannot imagine what they will say then. So that's the time to act. And I wish from the NATO summit, coming back to your question, a clear sign in this direction.
Yes, I think we all know that you cannot stop Putin by soft talking and being indecisive. We have to be decisive. We have to be clear in our message. I think maybe only one of the few things that can stop him is fear, and we need to make him and everyone that is enabling the Russian war machine to be really, really scared of what is going to happen if they try something like this again.
Deterrence is the thing I'm missing.
Yep.
Deterrence.
There's no deterrence.
Clear deterrence. Because the point is, Russia always said, this is a red line, this is a red line, this is a red line. It was many times discussed here on Tochnyi and elsewhere. Nothing happened. But Russia is crossing the red lines of humanity and international law every day. And we saw it today in an extreme manner, but not the first time. We see it from day one. We see it from day one of the full-scale invasion. We see it from Bucha. We see it from, I don't know, from Olenivka. We see it everywhere. It's not a new thing. Now we're experiencing this in Kyiv in a dramatic manner. But new? No, it's not. Day one. And that's the thing. There's no reaction by not reaction, it's not the right term. There's no nuclear strike or no devastation against NATO countries, by Russia. We can hit them, we can stop it since day one, but we never did. And I'm from day to day waiting for the moment when the West has finally understood this, that we can do it and we should do it now and not wait for the next tens or hundreds of Ukrainians to die. It's not worth to sacrifice Ukraine and the Ukrainian people for this indifference. And I would still call it indifference. Besides all the help we are providing to Ukraine, it's still indifference.
Thank you, Sören. Before we end, I wanted to ask you, when you were in the shelter, was it at a hotel? And what did you talk to the people that you were with in the shelter about?
I didn't talk to them at all because, as I told you in the beginning, I was working because this event has not happened yet. And only after I went out of the shelter, I realized the significance of this and the severity of this and all these casualties. And I saw the smoke for the first time from the hotel. And then I had meetings, business meetings, and I went to one guy whom I should meet. And he is in the 15th floor of the residence of his office building. And from there, I could even better see the smoke. And this was then already some time after the attack happened. So Kyiv was under smoke. You saw all the pictures today on Twitter and so on. So that's how it looked from a 15-story building, only some 100 meters from you. And then the next alert started. And so I said, and he has no shelter down in this building. So I said, okay, let's go to the car quickly and just drive to my place. And I have a shelter. And so we drove to the shelter and had the meeting there in the bunker. And there I talked to him, basically. And not to the most of the people during the breakfast time and afterwards were international people, and we've been all quite calm and trying to work and focus on work until the events really unfolded. So it was a strange day, emotional, difficult to focus on work, then very much dominated by the pictures that you all saw today, by the sheer suffering, by the mourning, and by trying to, as good as we can, give our Ukrainian colleagues, and that's my challenge every day, to give my Ukrainian colleagues the guidance and the support that they need. I'm not sure if I can meet all those needs because, of course, they all have their traumas, and we all do, and we are coping with it in a very different style, and it's very hard to provide the things that are needed to cope with it. Sometimes it's impossible, but of course, as a leader, you try. And of course, I was today, as every day, in contact with my team and communication with my team, and that's maybe the answer on your question. Mostly because that's the real challenge, because everyone is reacting differently, and they are here for months and years, and they are facing this every day. And today is just a special day with a special stress. And I experienced it also today, and it's a lot of stress. Imagine, and believe me, it's a lot of stress. I'm not afraid, but it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of mental stress upon you, and that's a challenge. And so for me, this is my focus: to work, to deliver, to lead, to steer, and to take care for the people I'm most responsible for. And besides that, I didn't talk to too many people today, I have to be honest.
No, but thank you for telling us how your experience was and your observations. It's very valuable.
Yeah, very welcome. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you for bringing me up, and thank you for having this space tonight. It's worth it.
Yeah, well, I just thought we'll throw together a stream because this is an event that people shouldn't. They should get the right input from the people on the ground. And since you were there, and Bionade said maybe Sören can talk to us.
Oh, of course.
It was
All the
really
time,
really
of
valuable, I
course.
think.
Yeah, I hope so. And if you have any remaining questions or last remarks or things you are interested in, willing to answer it. It was my pleasure. It's important to let the world know. It's important to, the most dangerous thing is indifference. You can have an opinion here, you can have an opinion there, but even worse than having the wrong opinion is indifference. And we should not indifference let be the imperative on Ukraine, That's most dangerous thing because it's so important. And even sometimes I can even accept some bullshit opinions because I know that's a bullshit opinion and then I can work with it. But indifference is the worst thing and the most dangerous thing. And thank you for Tochnyi to that you are explaining for a long time already in detail that you try to explain, that you are looking into detail, that you are working with informed people, and that you are facing this. I mean, if you look at Twitter today, it's if you look at the amount of disinformation, even after this attack, it's just
It's disgusting.
it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
So I will
And
try. I will
yeah.
try to get some of
Thank you, guys.
the missile experts to give an opinion on this when they can be more informed. I know that they would like more time to give an analysis of this, and we don't want to jump to conclusions. But yeah, I saw one of the questions from one of the people in the chat, Brendan Kelly. Have you guys observed any of the Russian propaganda putting their spin on this? It's disgusting. Yeah, that's a good comment. We did talk a little bit about some points, especially about the fact that some Russian disinformation accounts were saying that this is a Ukrainian air defense rocket. I showed some of the analysis that Fabian, a friend of ours, did on the matter, and it's, I guess, maybe 10 minutes into the stream. But I think we're going to try and do a better complete analysis on this later in the week. I will certainly try and
Thank
make
you,
it happen.
guys. From where are you calling me now? From where are you speaking now? if
I'm
I
in
may
Oslo.
ask? In Oslo. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So back to Oslo.
Thank
And
you.
many greetings from Kyiv. And we are still standing. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you.
Sören, see you soon.
Thank you,
Slava
Sören.
Ukraini.
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe, Sören.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks.
I'll play the outro, and Slava Ukraini.
Herojem slava.
Herojem slava.